Hi there, you're watching Vocabulary Files on Learning English. This series about vocabulary files will be progressed on every Tuesday. In this series, we will focus on the formal word, the rare word, and of course, the collocation and idiomatic phrases, which play a very important role in the increase of your score in the IELTS test, especially the IELTS Speaking Part 3 and the Writing Task 1 and Task 2. For the vocabulary IELTS video today, we will focus on the study, the academic topics, a topic relating to school and something formal, that kind of things. And this is the Part 1 and study topic, in which we will focus on the idiomatic phrases that we can use in the IELTS Speaking Part 1 and 2. Today we will focus on 7 idioms. But before we focus on this, let's hear a quick story. When I was a student, I usually skip my class because I get bored. However, I was still able to pass my test successfully. Even so, the best of my classmates couldn't study as well as me. My secret is not try to remember everything without thinking about it. Nor did I cram myself with a lot of knowledge, read a lot of course book materials. But whenever I study or look at things, I get very serious and try to think why it is the way it is. And when I do that, everything becomes very easy. Now the story we have just heard will relate it very close to the 7 idioms today. Now let's have a look at each idiom. Now the first idiom, the idiom about skip class. So whenever you stay away from school without permission, you can say play truant. Play truant. Play truant. The second idiom is with flying color, which you can use an adverb and its meaning is successfully. Now the third one, very easy. I think most of you understand and got the idea. Succeed in reaching people who are ahead of you. And we have the idiom catch up with. Catch up with, or you can say catch up with. Catch up with. Alright, now let's move to the next idiom. We have learn something by heart. By heart. Okay, this is heart. Learn something by heart, which means you try to memorizing something exactly without thinking of it. Learn by heart. And the next idiom is cover a lot of ground, which means you try to study, you try to discuss a lot of topics, reading a lot of course book, that kind of things. Next we have put your thinking hat on, or you can say cap on, and well, depends on the context, you can change your into his or her, and this one means thinking seriously about something. And the last idiom today is as easy as ABC, which is an adjective, and this means extremely easy. Alright, we just have a look at the 7 idiomatic phrases which we can use in the IELTS Speaking Part 1 and even Part 2, even Part 3. And please don't use it in the writing, as idiomatic phrases is considered informal in the writing. So don't use it in the writing, just speaking IELTS. Now, in order to remember it and in order to apply it in practical context, let's answer these IELTS speaking questions. So maybe in the IELTS test you will face with these questions. Were you a good student in high school? And well, you can use the 7 idiom to answer the questions. You can say, well, not exactly. When I was a student, I used to play truant. That said, I still passed my test with flying color. Even my friends cannot catch up with me. The key thing is not to learn everything by heart, but to put your thinking hat on. And once you do that, everything will be as easy as ABC. So that is the 7 idiomatic phrases about study topic, and you can use them in speaking part 1, 2, and even 3. And please don't use it in the writing one more time. Thank you for watching these videos of vocabulary for IELTS. We have just completed part 1, in which we study about some idiomatic phrases for studying topic. If possible, I hope that I can see you next Tuesday. In the next videos, we will focus on the formal words about the topic of studying for IELTS speaking and writing. And of course, on Learning English. See you and thank you.